let's move on, because before I go any further, let me say this. This next topic is not one that I like to get into, but I'm going down this rabbit hole because I've actually slept on this, and I have a really huge issue with this from the simple perspective, and here it is. I think it's bullshit that Cam Newton still does not have a job. Cam Newton, who came in the league the same time as Andy Dalton, has been to a Super Bowl, has put up amazing numbers for a black quarterback in the NFL. Now, granted, he's paid for it a lot, and the hits that he's taken, not really having a lot of talent around him. But since March 24th, when Cam was released by the Carolina Panthers, he still does not have a job in the NFL. And that's just disgusting. I have a huge problem with this. I'm trying to remain professional about this, but this is just, it's ridiculous. You're talking about a guy who came in the league. He was a mobile quarterback. He has an arm. You didn't put enough around him to really get him to that next level. He had to put it on his back, which is why he donned the cape and called himself Superman. But when he went out there, he did what he had to do. He worked with the talent that was given to him. He worked with the coaches that were given to him. And at the end of the day, Cam Newton, from the beginning of his career, even the moment when I called him out and I said, Cam, you have to go into Seattle and beat Seattle to prove to me that you are worth being called a good, if not great quarterback. And then he went out there and did it. Whether he listened to me or not is beyond that. But it's the fact that he has proven over the last 8-9 years, and I'm looking at his numbers right now, with the exception of last season, where he only played 2 games, he's played 14 out of the 16 games. This man has completed 60% of his passes. He's at 29,000 yards. Granted, his touchdown interception ratio is not that great. It's 182 to 108. So what's that, 87%? But I mean, come on. You're not going to give this man a shot to be a quarterback in the NFL? Granted, starting positions may be few and far between. The only team I can see him going to right now is possibly New England, or maybe even Jacksonville, if they don't think Gardner Minshew is the man, but clearly they have. And you're going to sit there and tell me that Cam Newton can't get a job. I got a big, huge problem with this. I'm trying, guys. I really am, because it's pissing me off.
Try a little bit harder. Look outside of what the
I can't. You're asking me to do that, and right now I can't do that.
The man has been hurt. I'm trying to explain it. The man has been hurt. No one, not you, not your parents, not your family, not your friends, not your cousins, are going to hire someone who was unable to do a job. Has he been tested? Has he seen a doctor? Has he been approved by doctors to compete and do football? Are you going to offer someone a contract who isn't going to be there week 1? If even one of those is a no, then that is the reason why Cam Newton does not have a job. You and I both know the hypocrisy. I'm not arguing with the hypocrisy, but if I'm an NFL owner, if I'm an NFL GM, if I'm an NFL coach, I'm not touching you unless you could pass a physical. All the other stuff on the side, I'm with you. But until you see a doctor and can pass a physical, you're radioactive.
Okay, but Alex, I mean, again, and it's a little bit of 2 different situations. Pre-draft, we're talking about Tua. The Dolphins take him at number 5. Granted, they don't expect him to start. They're not, I mean, he says he feels good. He can do football activities. We saw the video. But nobody's team doctors have got to, they didn't get to go out and see him. He didn't get to come to the facility. So it's one of those things where with Cam, it's like, okay, I agree with you 100%. And I see what Eric's saying too. What Eric is saying too. The other side to that, though, is does he really want to be a backup quarterback? And I don't think he'd be a bad locker room guy. And working with North Turner, like we talked about in the past, the accuracy went up. Also, you have a Swiss Army knife in Christian McCaffrey, which can lessen the load, as we know, Eric, on the cape. So, but from the physical standpoint, I'm with you, Alex. Is that we don't know what the doctors have said, but the hypocrisy there, in a way, the hypocrisy of it is he can say you just drafted a college dude at number 5 who had a more horrific injury than Cam Newton's had in his career, And the Dolphins are saying, and again, they wanted to go young. They weren't. I'm not saying the Dolphins, he feels slighted by the Dolphins not bringing him in. Again, is he have teams contacted him? I don't know. It hasn't been out there. And if they have contacted his agent, at least they've been quiet about it. They're talking. If he wants to come in and be a starter, and they're saying, we'd love to have you compete, but so-and-so is the starter. I mean, imagine him, like we said, sitting, not that he would have went to New Orleans, but sitting behind Drew Brees, or if he does go to New England. I mean, now that Andy Dalton's off the market, but yeah, the fact that you don't hear of more teams, with Cam, and then the next thing is always brought up about the injury. So again, I mean, if a team like the Dolphins is going to take Tua, and you have those question marks about, can he go forward? Yeah, the video looked good, but it's not contact. It's not, 300-pound defensive lineman coming to rip your head off. If I'm Cam Newton, I mean, I'm a little flustered, but if he went to direct orders to his agent, because the agent, again, can try and go back and forth and said, look, I don't want to go in for any less than this. And if they doubt my health and they just want me as a backup to make it cheap for them to come in and compete, I have no interest. So, I mean, they're not going to pay him $10 million a year to come in and compete.
And that's fine, Mike, and that's fine. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but here's my problem with all this. My problem is somebody, whether it's Cam, whether it's his agent, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the team organization, GM, coaches, whatever the case may be, someone ain't doing their job. Because there is no way you let a guy like Cam Newton not be an NFL quarterback on some level. Now, here is the thing that I will say to you. If Cam is the stubborn one saying, I will only be an NFL starting quarterback, then, okay, you know what? At least then I can understand the reasoning why teams will not take a chance on him. But Alex, to your point about a physical, I'll tell you right now, and we all know this, if this pandemic wasn't going on, Cam would have had a physical. We would know the strength and stability of his shoulder, his foot, and what he is able to or not able to do. But it's the fact that we have found ways to circumvent the narrative. We have found ways to go about getting playbooks and doing stuff on video and showing that we are talented enough. Now, if Cam needs to find a doctor, there's doctor on demand. There are so many other things that he can do that a doctor can take a look and at the very least give a preliminary prognosis and saying, here is what we feel based on the information given to us. That's if Cam is being stubborn. If his agent ain't doing his job, then damn it, you need to get the hell on. Because I'm sorry, that man deserves to be a quarterback in the NFL. Now, if it's the organization, as you said, Alex and Mike, if it's the organization or a teams or GM, because of those two things, then I'm calling bullshit. Because they can find a way to get the information. They can find a way to see, is this guy worth picking up, getting a deal done? Because my question to you is very simply this. No one right now has the ability to physically walk into a hospital, walk into a doctor's office, be seen, get tested, x-rays and all that. But you mean to tell me that Andy Dalton, who got released by the Bengals on Thursday, got picked up by Dallas on Saturday? How does that happen? Did Andy Dalton pass a physical? Did Andy Dalton get seen by doctors? How in less than 48 hours was Andy Dalton allowed to get a job, but Cam Newton since March 24th does not have a job? Now, y'all can spin it any way you want to. And you guys know me. I am the last person to ever pull this out of my backside. But damn it, I'm going to call it what it is. You look at Cam, he's a mobile quarterback who's been hit way too many times. And NFL owners, the guys who are writing the paychecks, basically are saying, we don't want him. And the only conclusion that I can come to right now is because he's a black quarterback.
Well, and he didn't whine like, Andy Dalton, either way, was whining because he got released late. He said the Bengals were going to do that. They could have released him. At the same time, Cam got released. He didn't have a chance. I mean, him and his agent took the narrative of basically whining. Now, I'm not saying that the Cowboys should have signed him for that or anybody should have signed him for that reason. And for Cam, I mean, again, behind closed – I'm not saying I have a point, Eric, but behind closed doors, if he's being stubborn and saying if they just want me to come in for this amount to be a backup quarterback, I'm not gonna do it. We don't know. I don't think he is. But, again, I haven't looked about how many teams have communicated to him, reached out to him.
I don't know that either, Mike. I'm just
If he,
going
but
off
no,
of
I'm
what I've
saying
seen.
if he's better than Andy Dalton, if he's not whining
He is
about
better
it.
than Andy Dalton.
No,
I'll
that's
put
what
that
no,
right now. He's better than Andy
no,
Dalton.
he's better than Andy Dalton in the aspect if he has been talking to teams as agent and he doesn't like the offers, he's not out there slamming the teams because he also knows players know to an extent either way they can take it so far, but if they're going to keep bashing certain things or teams and it's everybody else's fault, it'll be worse for them. I'm not saying you don't have a point, and I'm saying he handled it better than Andy Dalton in the aspect of not whining about it. And yeah, maybe he would have been signed if he was. I mean, again,
I don't know.
but
I don't know.
to
Alex, go
Alex's
ahead.
point too, real quick too, about the doctors and the physicals. I mean, they can weekly hide behind that. And like I said, but any team and everybody evaluated Tua. Somebody drafted Tua, and obviously he went number 5. Cam's got to be sitting there like, oh, really? Okay.
All right. I saw you through and things.
You're quiet, bro. Can't hear you.
I think he may have dropped.
Yeah, I think he may have. I don't know.
No, man, believe me, I'm with you because everybody, and believe me, you said, because for people that don't know, I mean.
Hi, how are you?
Okay. I saw that you mentioned Tua, and I don't know why Tua is getting used as the don't get signed or when injury. He had hip surgery. That was not quite a year ago. Not quite. Supposed to be 22 years old. Alabama Crimson Tide and his personal physicians all said and told that he was healed. He was withholding, wrist was injured. Now off was gambling. He's healthy. And guys, guess what? He's not going to play this year. And he was meant to be projected to be a 2021 starter. He has no way, shape, or form anything to do with the situation faced right now. Miami already had a plan. They were taking for Tua. He's going to heal an additional year while they get the pieces in place. So can we please stop using Tua Tagovailoa? I am not disagreeing with the hypocrisy that is good. But if you look at the aspect of the NFL, there's not a team that need a star quarterback. You got Jacksonville. You got New England. New England has no money. They have $1.2 million in cap space. Now, you and I both know that if Robert Kraft wanted to make that happen, they could make that happen. But that's a hell of an excuse. They can't pay a tank for Trevor Lawrence or Sunshine, whatever you want to call him. Do you really think it's a good move to sign him to the AFC East after you lose to get Trevor Lawrence? Probably what you're trying to do in the first place. Thinking about the organization, you don't want to. Lord knows Jacksonville could use his help. Here's the 5th year. They're not even at the Leonard Fournette. The last time I checked, fighting with the owner's son. He's not happy. He's about once with the Rams, be Rams, play his kids in Baltimore. To say
All right.
Hey, Eric, I'm going to look, I get what he's saying. Like Tua was going to sit for a year, but to that point though, I mean, I get what he's saying, but to that point, you still drafted a person at the number 1 position, whether you feel that anyone feels that way or not. But I mean, we've been inundated with it. I mean, they say if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team. The number 1 position, like, yeah, he's not going to play this year, but say Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt. If it's like game 7 or game 8, and they're going to be clamoring for Tua to play.
Oh, I know.
Yes, he shouldn't play, but you're going to draft somebody with a top 5 pick, to your point, too, that, yes, hasn't done in the NFL, yes, played at Alabama, and I know Alex was saying hiding the wrist injury, but you're going to draft somebody at 5 and somebody like Cam Newton, who, yes, you need to get in. And again, the physical, we know the owners are paying. When people say, "Oh, they're trying to get them on the cheap," at the same time, the physical is what's going to matter. I mean, they need to overstate the obvious, but you want to get in there and say, "Okay, yeah, he can play. Yeah, this is the shoulder is going to affect the accuracy in a cold. I mean, yeah, you're in Carolina, it gets colder there, but are you going to go up to, like you said, New England, and in those winter months, how's that shoulder going to hold up?" And yeah, he's right. If Robert Kraft wanted to make it happen, believe me, they'd work something out.
Listen,
to make it
I don't
happen.
doubt that. I don't doubt that any of the
Right.
owners in the NFL, if they wanted to make something happen, they could make it happen. I just have a serious problem with the fact that, and I've looked at everything, Mike, and you better than most people have known me for over a decade, and you know that I never go down this road because it's not one that, you know, is really going to, first off, I'm not uncomfortable talking about it. And if the rest of the world's comfortable with my opinion, then so be it. I've accepted that. But no one right now, unless it is Cam himself, no one right now can tell me that this man at this stage in his life should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL, especially when injuries are a part of the game. Now, again, I will go back to what I said. If Cam Newton is the one basically saying, I want to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, I will accept nothing less, then that's on him. Then you know what? You have to take things for what they are. And if you're willing to not make the necessary change and be a backup, then guess what? Then, yeah, you're not going to play in the NFL. You're not. You can go play in the Europe League. You can go play in the Canadian League. You can go do something else.
But it's not even being a back. I mean, if he goes in and competes, there's no way a coach is going to keep him off the field if the starting quarterback's sitting there and again, being terrible. Here you go, Cam. Ring's yours. Let's go. And that's why, I mean, again, when you said Washington with Ron Rivera, you know, maybe they're waiting and seeing. Maybe he wants to obviously see about Dwayne Haskins, and that maybe he doesn't want to put that pressure on Haskins. But guess what, man? It's the NFL. It's about winning. Obviously, unless they're not sold on Haskins, and Ron Rivera wants a
horrible move.
Wait, hold on. What you mean a horrible move? You'd be a horrible move for Ron Rivera not to take his old quarterback back? Really?
That would be a horrible move.